Hi, it's Mrs. Wald. Put together the following video so you could see how myself and then Mrs. Gillum, the speech therapist, and Mrs. Besmick, the school social worker, and Mrs. R and the paras that she has in her classroom, how we structured the cooking class that we did just about weekly throughout the school year this year. So in the video, you're going to hear me talk over what you're seeing just to explain some things. So yes, we worked on providing different varieties of foods and trying to get the kids to try things that they haven't tried before. But a huge part of that was the process of setting the table, having everyone participate in the meal planning, and then cleaning up, making it very routine-based and hands-on, requiring participation. And we do this because the more the child is involved in that whole process and they are doing it and seeing their peers doing it and their families at home doing it, it just builds that routine, it builds that family communication, and it builds a lot of skills, functional skills. So it's something that we really wanted to focus on this year. So please watch the following video, and then next week we'll have a video on making Jell-O, which we did as a group this year, and the students really enjoyed it. So just a heads up, so that way if you are going to the store, you can grab some Jell-O maybe if you would like to participate. Thanks for watching. So here we're starting. I have my 3-year-old wiping off the table in preparation for setting the table. And so he's working on crossing midline. If you see, like, the midline is just that imaginary line that goes right down the middle of your body. So every time he crosses over to the other side of his body, he's crossing midline. And this is good for our brain, this is good for our bodies. So having him practice this and any child is beneficial. Here I have my 7-year-old setting the table, and there are many reasons behind this task. We always had a student set the table during our cooking lessons in Mrs. R's class. So not only are they getting the practice of thinking about other people and what they need to eat, it's also preparing them that there's going to be a meal soon. It's getting them ready. And then there's also just that functional task of knowing how to set the table. Here, she asked what we were having for dinner, and once I told her chicken, she knew we needed a fork. So this is helpful too, to think about, okay, what food are we eating? What kind of utensils do we need to prepare for our meal? Pouring the water. This was a fun one at the beginning of the year. So most students needed some prompting and some handheld adult support, because you're working on a lot of skills here with knowing how much to pour, how fast, being able to hold the pitcher with one hand, the cup with another, and it took a lot of skill. But a lot of the students made great progress with this from the point of starting the year to the beginning of March. So this would be a great activity just to keep up those skills. There's a lot of fine motor and sensory components to this simple activity of pouring water. Here I have the pots on the table because I found that if I don't have them on the table, I'm getting up and having to get the kids different food or more food very often. So here we have fine motor skills that we're working on, being able to scoop your own food. It's a functional skill, being able to scoop your own food. And then also, picky eaters can take what they want and are more in control of what's on their plate. So I had to stop there really quick to explain just a very quick tip and suggestion for parents of picky eaters. So my suggestion would be to offer 3 foods and have one of them be something familiar and that you know that your child will like and eat. It can take up to 99 times of seeing a piece of asparagus, but then that 100th time, after watching their family eat it, after watching their peers eat it, that might be that time that they pick it up, take a bite, decide that they like it. But in the meantime, they at least have that one food that is comforting. In uncertain times, like this, for example, when they're out of routine, familiarity and routine are just so important. So I would not suggest this to be a time to really force anything new. I would always keep that at least one food that's familiar that you know your child is going to eat. In this next clip, my husband basically bribes my son to try stuffing. This is more of a mom recommendation than an OT recommendation because sometimes it works. But I just want to be very clear that it's always child-led. We don't ever put food in a child's mouth or sneak it in their mouth or try to distract them and sneak it in their mouth. That can cause regression. If the child feels out of control, they're going to try harder to control the situation. So we never want to force. It needs to be child-led. So I just wanted to make that part clear. So on to the video clip.
Walter, do you want to try a little stuffing there?
Yeah, no, I already ate some.
Okay, well, if you try that, I will give you 4 jelly beans if you try that bite.
Okay.
4 extra jelly beans, okay?
Okay.
Use your fork. Use your fork.
Oh.
How is it?
Done.
You like it?
What's her face?
You like that? It's not so bad, is it?
Let's go.
I wish it were that easy all the time. I know that it absolutely is not that easy, but I wanted to share it because once in a great while, if you have a strong enough motivator like those jelly beans were to Walter, sometimes it works. Now it's time to clean up. I hope that this video encouraged you to get all your children involved. My son there's 3. I think it would be hard with a child younger than 3, but they could put the plates on the table, something like that. But the more involved the family is, the more likely you're able to create those routines and habits and a positive experience with eating, which is what we're ultimately trying to create for a child that's a picky eater.